get to know yourself, get to know who you are, why you do the things that you do, why you love the things that you love, bring more of that into your life. Try to see why there are things that you don't appreciate. Like, how can you see those things differently, and just learn from the lesson that's there to teach you so that you can move forward and just like bringing the good things, back into your life.
It's the Health in the Real World podcast. It's time to start the show with Chris Janke as your host. Here to give you everything that you need when it comes to fitness strategies. We keep it simple and easy. It's your roadmap to get healthy. You don't need equipment and you don't need a gym. Just the right strategies to get you fit and trim.
The Health in the Real World podcast is sponsored by most exercises and workouts, whether they be running, biking, elliptical, rowing machine, traditional weightlifting, or even CrossFit, do not give you a balanced workout. And when you do workouts that neglect even one area, you're out of balance, resulting in pain and injury as well. Achieve your goals with the fitness program your chiropractor would love. Visit chrisjanke.com/pod to watch the free video.
Hello and welcome to Health in the Real World. I'm Chris Janke and I'm joined today with Mayara Souza. Mayara is a sound healing therapist to release old conditionings using neuroscience-based tools, simple and easy techniques. Mayara, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How's it going, Chris?
Great. Well, I really appreciate you joining me today. Fill in any gaps that I missed in your biography, like how you got started or what kind of drives you to do what you do.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate being here and having the opportunity to share this stuff with your listeners. So a little bit of the background of how I came into the healing arts per se, how I came into fitness and taking better care of myself was that I was raised in Brazil and my father was an alcoholic. And I have a very rough childhood. And so I got into alcohol very early. I was like 12, 13. I also got into alcohol heavily. And it was a big part of my life, like throughout my teens and throughout my 20s. And with the addiction to alcohol came like eating very badly, not exercising at all, being like very bad to myself and kind of like even to other people. I was kind of like angry and, because of everything that had happened. And, so it was a big part of my teens and my 20s. And when I was getting close to 30, because my father had his heart attack at 37. So he was very young when he passed. I was only 4. And when I was getting close to 30, it's when, the voice within started like, you're doing the same stuff. Like, that's not very wise. And what I did was I started researching like heart conditions and, the genetic of it, like trying to figure out like, how can I work my way around this? And I realized that what we inherit, of course, the genes are there, but it's like they're dormant and we inherit the same lifestyle as our parents and grandparents. And then we develop the same conditions because we give the same environment to the cells, right, that are dormant there. And then they develop the same stuff. And I was like, wow, this is fascinating. So that's how my whole healing journey is started, because then I realized like I have power back, I can take care of my lifestyle. Like I can't really change my genes at this point, but well, actually I can by epigenetics, but anyways, I can take the power back and change my lifestyle and move things around, shift everything the way I'm doing. And that's how everything started.
Right. Oh, that's great. Yeah. Epigenetics is such a fascinating study, right?
Yeah.
How you can actually switch on and off genes. And Bruce Lipton, have you read The Biology of Belief?
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, that book blew up my brain. It's interesting. Like similar to you, like even as a kid, I remember doing this. Like I would think of the difference between like nature and nurture.
Yes.
And now as a trainer, sometimes I hear the excuse that people will have, well, oh, my mom is overweight, my dad is overweight, nobody in my family is healthy, so I'm not going to be healthy. And it's almost like a resignation of, oh, my genes just are terrible. But like you said, it's really more like, well, is your entire family doing things that are making them unhealthy? And most likely the answer is yes. So I think that's a great realization that you had when you were approaching 30, that, wait a second, I'm marching down this path and maybe I want to march down the other path instead, right?
Yeah, yeah. The one thing that I hear from my clients that's very common, it's like it runs in my family. I'm like, don't go there. Let me tell you something. So yeah, it started everything. Then I started researching like, so now how do I do it? How do I completely change lifestyle? Because it's like, I knew I was completely addicted. I was drinking every day. I needed to get to the point of like being drunk, before I go to bed. And the thing that made it very challenging for me was that I was hiding. Like nobody really knew that I was drinking that much. It was at home. I was that kind of like a lonely drinker at home every night type of thing. I mean, I would go out in bars and clubbing and do all of that stuff, but it's like people looked at me as normal per se, related to alcohol. They didn't know how much I struggled with it, like every day at home. So I started researching that, like, how do I do it? How do I even like start? Because one of the things with AA, I've been like with friends, and it didn't resonate for me. It was the whole thing with like a bit of epigenetics, like the repetition, the neuroscience behind it. Every single day, I'm Mayara, I'm an alcoholic.
Right.
It didn't work for me. Like it wouldn't work for me, that repetition, like, reinforcing that I am. So I didn't do it. But I researched and researched and researched, and I came across all this alternative stuff that I used for myself and that now I share with my clients. I started meditating, moving my body, doing yoga, doing a lot of like concentrated, focused work on kind of like becoming more self-aware, of where that stuff was coming from, the patterns from childhood, and just like unveiling, like, getting everything out and healing all of that stuff. And it's a hard path. It's a pretty hard path when this stuff start coming up for you to take a look at, on your behavior, where is it stemming from? I didn't even know why I was drinking until I started kind of like trying to get rid of it. And then the stuff from childhood, it started surfacing, like it started coming up, like all the abuse and everything. And so I'm like fascinated with research, and I get really deep into it. I homeschool my daughter, and this is the stuff she studies, like Bruce Lipton, Dr. Joe Dispenza. So I really get into this stuff because I want her to be healthy too, right?
Yeah.
So now I am in training to do neurofeedback. The biofeedback with the cap, you collect the data and then you retrain the brain, the areas of the brain that were affected. And man, that is another one that's just blowing my mind. I'm putting that together with the sound healing that I do. And it's like so cool.
That is awesome. I want to go back real quick to when you were going to AA and you realized that maybe this isn't for me, just because of the repetition and it's affirming what you didn't want. Did you have a realization that all the other things that you're now into, like the sound healing and all the mental, emotional conditioning, did you have an idea that would help you with your alcoholism? Or was it like, oh, I want to go this way just to become a better person, and then that alcoholism sort of took care of itself? Or like, what was your thought process around that?
So the thought process was my health. I really needed to shift things around the way I was doing things. I needed to eat better. I needed to start moving, and I needed to get rid of the alcohol. Like one of my main concerns was the alcohol. How do I get rid of it without having that community helping me that people find in AA? And it was meditation that kind of like triggered everything else to kind of unfold out of it. I started meditating. I tried several different types of meditations, and I was going deeper and deeper and deeper and learning more and more and more about myself. Like, what was it that was causing all of that stuff? What was triggering the need for alcohol, right? Like the ego would like just drive me to go and do it.
Right.
So I came across so many things after meditation. One ginormous thing in my life to this day that I really teach to every client also is A Course in Miracles. I don't know how much you know about those teachings. They were like crucial for me to shift things around, to be able to see for what it is, be more objective of my behavior and see for what it is. And then I knew I needed to start moving, and I didn't really have like a lot of time to like go to the gym and do all of, the stuff. And I started like little by little, I would do like 10 minutes of yoga. And then I kind of got passionate about it. I started kind of like building up to it, and I created my own routine, and I do my own routines at home to this day. I don't really like have a place that I go to. I like to sometimes, not very often, but I try to do as much things as I can on my own, and then when I travel, I do it at a hotel, I do it at a friend's house, I do it everywhere. Now I jog. And so, but the beginning, like you were saying, it was meditation. It kind of like it started getting me more in contact with myself to be able to like see what is it that I needed to do, like how much I needed to change my diet, and how much I wasn't moving at all, and all the other stuff, like even water, like I wasn't like drinking much water. Now it's like pretty much the only thing I drink, So it's like, but the beginning of everything was really the sitting quiet and being with myself and allowing everything to just shut off, no distractions. To this day, I'm a very advocate of like no distractions. Try to, not use too much distractions so you can see what's going on, especially when the feeling comes up, you start getting angry or pissed off at someone, whatever. It starts coming up, try to not distract yourself. Sit with it. What is it? Where is it coming from? So to this day, I always go back to the beginning that it was for me. Sit quietly. Yeah. Just listen.
So what was the process? So once you started meditating, what was kind of the process? When did you realize that, wow, I'm really going the right direction? What was your life like 6 months later after you started, maybe a year later? Like, what did that look like?
So like I said, I tried a variety of different meditations, just kind of like, it's not that I was doing one type and I didn't like it. It's this curiosity, you know what I mean? Like, what about these that everybody talks about? Let me check it out and see. And so I did a whole bunch of different types of meditation until I came across plant medicine meditation, working with the psychedelics and really revisiting, like literally revisiting the childhood to kind of like move things around and heal things around. And through those meditations, what I say, it's almost like this medicine took the habit, the dependency on alcohol out of my cells, because I didn't need it anymore. Like literally, I didn't have that phase where I couldn't sit with you if you were having a glass of wine. You know what I mean? Like as soon as I quit and I just got it out of my life, threw everything away that I had at home, I stopped going to the bars, to the clubs, to all of those places. I could sit with you, you could drink in front of me, and there was no desire. It was kind of like you're drinking water. You know what I mean? Like, I really don't care about what's in the cup. So that was very fascinating for me, because I believe that the traditional ways, that's very rare for you to get to that stage. Now it's been probably like 7-8 years that I don't drink. And it's the same thing. I have people that drink in front of me, couldn't care less, And I don't hear that from the traditional ways that people are able to get to that stage, like really that have the drink in front of you and you are just fine. There's no part of you whatsoever that is not kind of like wanting it, right?
Right.
So that was very transformational.
Right. You didn't do it based on willpower, and you weren't looking at the symptom. You weren't saying, okay, how do I get rid of my drinking? You were going deeper and you were saying, how do I enhance my own health and my own vibrancy? And that the drinking, which was just a symptom the whole time, just kind of faded away, right?
Yeah, naturally. Yeah. You're absolutely correct, because I was searching for the root, right? I was searching for the root that was getting me to go for it. There was pain. There was pain somewhere. There was something that was there, like, eating me up from the inside, that was making me go to it as a distraction, to kind of numb the pain, to kind of distract me from feeling whatever I needed to feel. And that's the thing. It's like, you starting meditating, you become more aware of those things, that you have stuff going on the inside that is driving you to the behaviors, because we try to change the behavior, right? And that's why a lot of people fail. That's how I work with my clients. It's kind of like I go to the mindset, to the root, to the beliefs, just like the biology of the belief, right? Belief. It's like, if you try to change just the behavior itself, it's like you said, it's the symptom. You're trying to put a band-aid on top of something that's still there. It's still going on. So that's why I say meditation was the trigger of everything else, because then it brought me to all the other practices that I do today. But if you don't sit quiet and listen to what's going on inside, what is the pain about? What is it trying to show you? It's hard to try to start exercising regularly, doing all that stuff regularly, because we hear again and again and again that people start and then something kind of gets them out of it, especially like beginning of the year now, right? They have the resolution. Right. And then it's famous that people do a couple of weeks or a couple of months or whatever and are not unable to continue. I noticed that my discipline, it stems from my discipline with meditation. If I have my discipline to do my daily meditation, everything else that I want to keep in my life as practices, I do it daily also.
Right.
But I do want to point out, though, the kindness to self, because it can become kind of obsessive, right? Us on the fitness and health world, we can become obsessed with it, like, no, cannot miss one day. I had that, it doesn't work. So if something happens, like I like to go jogging by the water, I'm based in Florida. I like to go jogging by the water in the morning because it's just like perfection for me. It's paradise. Today's a rainy day. I didn't go, and it's okay.
Right.
You know,
And that's
so it's
okay.
like,
Yeah. Very
this
good.
okay, it's important.
Yes. I like what you said about how all your discipline comes from the meditation. And so I find with meditation, it's like you clear off, it's like decluttering your brain, right? It's like cleaning your house, right? There's no extra clutter. And then everything that enters your life is enhancing, right? There are things that you are choosing. So you're not kind of wasting your life. Because you said something a few minutes ago, right? When you started talking about how you didn't have time to start exercising and things like that, which, now looking back, you're probably thinking, how could I not have time to exercise, right? That's like the most important thing I can do. And it's like number one before everything else. So I just thought that was interesting, like how meditation is like your foundation, and then you build up from there.
Yeah, that's actually a great topic, Chris. I love that, because the way I see, like the way I perceive reality, it's like media is trying to bombard you with distractions.
Yes.
And so we pay attention to the distractions, or we sit quietly and calm down and do the things that come naturally for us. Like the exercise thing, for instance. I was never one to get into pushing weights, like, lifting weights. It's just, I don't know, it doesn't do it for me. I don't feel the joy that I feel jogging and,
Right.
doing my yoga. And it doesn't matter. Like, for people that do it, that's great. They are doing, So I feel like when we try to do the things because media or friends or whatever is trying to kind of like push it on us, it's when we don't enjoy it. We try to exercise and then it sucks. It's like we
Right.
miss days and we go once a week and then we start going once a month until we don't go anymore, because we're trying to do things that it's not like coming for you naturally, right? So I really appreciate that topic of like, do your own thing, sit quietly and listen to see what is your thing, because media is just like, gosh, okay, I have a saying that I say like this. I am that type of person that loves everyone and everything, like literally. I love everyone and I love everything. I do, however, hate one thing, and that is television. Oh my gosh. It's like, seriously, I don't appreciate how much we are bombarded with information that it's useless, that brings a lot of fear, a lot of guilt, a lot of stuff that we don't need anymore. We need to do the work to get rid of, right?
Yeah.
So I don't appreciate television like at all.
Well, I think what television offers us, it depends on how disciplined you are in turning it off, right? Like if you have something specific that you want to watch that is life enhancing, or maybe it's just entertainment, but you have a very specific window of, I'm going to watch this one show. Netflix has you on, like, the joke is like, if I ask you, hey, do you want to watch a 2-hour movie? You'll be like, I don't know, 2 hours, that's a long time. But if I say, hey, do you want to watch a 26 episode miniseries, you're like, yeah, maybe I'll do that, right? Like it just like the binge watching is out of control. But television is going to respond to how we are, right? If everybody had found the awakening of what you found, right, sitting quietly and like, okay, now I can turn off the TV at any time, I can say no to a glass of wine at any time, then TV, I think, would change, because it wouldn't have the pull that it does now. And but I think just so many people are so addicted to it that they know how to psychologically get in our heads and just keep us watching, right?
And it's so easy to get addicted to it because that's pretty much what they want, right? And they have like the best professionals behind the scenes providing that happens, right? Yeah. So for me, the word that comes up is discernment. Do you have discernment to see, like really pay attention to what you are watching? How does it make you feel? I was just recording a video the other day about that. I'm taking this class, it's from Yale, and this lady, she teaches about the science of well-being. She says it's like the class of happiness. It's by far the number one class taken at Yale right now. So the lady is really cool. She shows you the data that really shows you like the things that you think are going to make you happy, and they really don't. It's data, right? So everybody believes in the data, in the science.
Right. Especially at Yale.
Yeah, exactly. And then she shows you also the data of the things that you think that are going to make you unhappy, and they really don't. Like, it might a little bit bug you, but it's not even as close to as much as we think that we're going to be unhappy if they happen. So one class the other day that she was talking about that I really wanted to make the video about was how our reality is hacked. And talking about Bruce Lipton, we know how much that, influences us, right? So she was talking about social media. So every life in social media today is filtered, and, it's just the happiness out there, right? And what happens, that she was explaining with the data, is that our brain gets adapted to that hacked environment as the norm, as the standards. Like, it's absurd standards that you are happy all the time. Nobody is happy all the time, right? So what she was saying is that your brain goes and adapts to that. And then when you shut off the social media and you take a look at your life that is unfiltered, that all the pain and the suffering is there, it brings anxiety, depression, hence the despair, that you have through the world. So that's what she was saying. Shut that off. Have discernment. If you are going to look at it, what accounts are you following? How does it make you feel about yourself and about your life? Does it bring, like some motivation, inspiration into your life? Or do you feel like shit, because it feels like everybody else is having fun and you're here suffering and stuff like that. And I totally agree. Like, I teach that to all my clients. I'm like, have discernment. If you're going to watch something, I'm not a big proponent of like a screen, unless you're learning something that you really want to learn. But we have to be very careful with the entertainment. Oh my gosh, there's so much conditioning behind the entertainment in mainstream media today. It's dangerous. It's really dangerous how much we're feeling afraid and guilty of things because of that conditioning behind the scenes. But anyways, if the discernment is that, absolutely, it can be a healthy thing. Like, I use the screen a lot of the times, but look at what I'm doing. The science of well-being is stuff that brings like good feelings to my life, and that I can share with other people also, that will improve, my life and other people's lives. If it's stuff that's bringing drama, I grew up with the television on. I think that's why it's one of the things that I hate. It was like soap opera, novellas. Oh my gosh, so much drama. It was crazy. So now it's like, if there's soap opera somewhere and I hear it from far away, I'm like, I gotta run.
You put up your, like,
it's coming. Oh my gosh, no more.
I like that word though, discernment, and that's really good. I think I just had a thought, it went away. But as far as like TV, it's a great resource, right? And like, you and I are talking, you're 3,000 miles away from me, and I'm in California right now, but we're speaking as if we're in the same room, right? And that's a great feature of this technology. But it's when people let it go too far, right? They let it run their lives, and just the ability to know like what's important to me. And I think it was something about what you were saying with like our lives, right? Nobody posts, everyone posts like the bathroom selfie after they go to the gym, and they're like,
right?
Nobody posts what their face looks like when they're depressed, when they wake up in the morning, so we get this like artificial, it's always good, it's always good, it's always good. And when my life is not matching that, then something's wrong, right? So I think that's really important to remember, and sort of like get that into context, and hear more people like you talk about it, because it's not like, our parents didn't grow up with this technology, so it's not like they even struggled. It's not like they could pull us under their wing when we're 9 years old and say, hey, I just want to talk to you about social media because this is what could happen with it. There wasn't any of that. Nobody knew about this. So this is good to talk about this right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things. It's like, we come from such a different generation. Like, we're so young to be saying that, right? Like, when we were kids, there was no such thing as social media. So now, like, I have my daughter. How am I going to explain to her if I don't have that experience from when I was a kid? So one thing for me with that, it's like, we have become this traumatized generation that we are trying to raise healthy kids, coming from like my childhood, for instance, full of trauma, no social media. And now I'm trying to raise my daughter, with all this stuff that I have to heal myself, and all these new things that happen in her world. So that's why, for me, discernment is, and that's why I always keep bringing back all the practices that I do. I keep bringing them back to meditation, to having that consistency with meditation, because to me, it's like one of the most powerful tools to bring that discernment to your mind. so that you are able to see things for what they are, see really like what is the meaning behind those things. Because there's, like I said, there's a lot of entertainment coming out of Hollywood, but there's so much bad conditioning infused in it, you know. So it's like we gotta discern, you know. I understand like this need that we have to be entertained, but if you discern well, you can find very healthy entertainment that you don't get with it the bad conditioning, you know. So it becomes the bad habits and the bad behavior and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think when entertainment turns like bad is when I just have this image of like a king in the Middle Ages, you know, like 1500, and he like a fat king, and he's sitting back and somebody's feeding him his grapes, and he's like, amuse me, you know, and he's like, he's got the court jesters up there, and he's like, oh, that wasn't funny, kill him next, you know, and like that's almost how we've become, like so spoiled in that way. It's like, next, nope, that doesn't do it for me, next, and it's like you're saying, that meditation though, that comes from within, and we sort of lose that need to be entertained because life has a richness to itself. It doesn't need to come from outside. It doesn't have to be the funniest thing in the world or the goriest or the, you know, the most dramatic movie or anything like that. We can just sit with ourselves and just enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah, you're exactly right. It's like, what are we looking for when we are just pressing the button looking for another scene, right? It's that hit of dopamine, right?
Exactly.
Right. But then though, when we sit and we meditate, it's like there is no need. Everything comes into perfection as is. Man, it's a moment that it's like, I want everybody to have it. You know, people talk with me a lot about like, you seem so happy, even though there is, you know, so much trauma in your past and stuff like that. You always have this like good mood about things. You're positive. You look forward to things and stuff. And I'm like, you know, I learned how to listen to the lessons that are here to teach me. When life gets hard, there's a lesson there for sure. I look at it and I accept it and I welcome it. I don't welcome just the good things. I welcome the hardships, right? Because they're teaching me something. So it creates this habit of not needing much. I have become more and more of a minimalist. The more I meditate, the more life is good, as is. And you know 100%. What happens? I keep getting more and more of what I appreciate in my life because I'm putting myself in that state of appreciation, of gratitude, of like, oh, life is just good, just the way it is. Like the sun is out. Oh yeah, good stuff, right? Don't need that much of like the lady on the course at Yale. She says awesome stuff. Don't need that much awesome stuff, right? I need to be here. I need to connect to nature, you know, see outside, connect to the animals, connect to the people around me and all of that. And then from there, things keep showing up in my life without that wanting, you know. I feel like that's the ego. Like I need that stuff. I want that stuff. Just like appreciating the moment that you are in, and then the stuff pours into your life. And just the stuff you need, just, you know, the stuff you appreciate. There's not a lot of like hardships that keep showing up because you are just chill, you know, in that good vibe of meditation.
Exactly. You get exactly what you need, exactly the right time. So Mayara, I want to let you finish with a motivational speech that you're going to give. Let's say you're in front of a graduation ceremony. You're about to talk to the graduating class about how to get the most out of their lives. What words of wisdom would you give to that graduating class?
Oh, that's great. I would say get to know yourself. Get to know who you are, why you do the things that you do, why you love the things that you love. Bring more of that into your life. Try to see why there are things that you don't appreciate. Like, how can you see those things differently, you know, and just learn from the lesson that's there to teach you so that you can move forward and just like bringing the good things, you know, back into your life. I would love to give a little challenge actually. So I did this on a speaking engagement that I did, and it was great. 3 little things that will help you to get to know yourself, bring in that self-awareness that allows for discernment of everything that's happening in your environment. Those 3 things. First of all, it's prayer. And I use gratitude as my prayer. Like every single day, get up in the morning, thank you for one more day in this beauty, right? Thank for whatever, like the air in your lungs, 2 legs to walk, whatever. But like at least like 3 things or so. Think for those things, use it as your prayer. Think for the things that you are expecting to come in your future. You know, that's so powerful. Think already for those things that you are expecting for the future. The second thing, meditate. Sit quietly. Prepare the ground of your mind to receive how to achieve those things, how to become that future version of yourself that you want to become. Figure it out, like, who do you want to be? And then sit quietly. Sit quietly. Allow everything to just be quiet. You might get insights right away when you're meditating. You may not, but you're preparing the ground of your mind. What happens is that a couple of days after, maybe you're in the shower or something, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, how did I not think of this before? Right? So that's the second thing. Meditate to prepare your mind to receive guidance from spirit, from God, from the universe, whatever resonates with you. Third thing, that's going to like be crucial for you to get to know yourself. Know yourself, the most important thing you can do. Journal. Sit down, write whatever comes up. You just meditated, right? So sit down, write just a couple of sentences at least. If you have more coming, allow it to flow. Allow it to flow. Don't edit it. Just allow it to flow. What happens is that you're going to have something subject to look at. You're going to bring the stuff that's going on here that could be chaotic or not. It doesn't matter. But you're going to bring what's going on inside to the paper so that you can take a look at it. So you're going to take a look of what's going on inside. You're going to learn a ton about yourself. That self-knowledge, that self-awareness will bring discernment. You're going to know what's good for you in your life. You're going to keep more of it. And you're going to naturally, which is a very key word here, you're going to naturally release what's not serving you anymore. Being it within yourself, people, situations, circumstances, whatever is not serving you anymore, naturally will be released. Do that every day for like 30 days and then let me know what happens. I would love to receive an email from your listeners, like what happens. I get emails like, oh my gosh, it's like wild. I love this. Thank you for letting me share it.
That's awesome. Absolutely. Well, that's a good segue. How do people contact you? What is your email address? What's your website, social media?
Yeah, so if you go to my website, is Mayara, Mayara, a little dash, Souza, SOUZA.com. You're going to find all social media there. And the email, it's love, mayarasouza@gmail. Send me an email, contact if you would like accountability, support, or just someone witnessing you as you go through your journey. Let me know. We'll talk.
Nice. Well, that's fantastic. Thank you, Mayara. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you joining me on Health in the Real World today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chris, for inviting me. It was a pleasure.
Thanks for listening to the Health in the Real World show. Make sure to like and subscribe and comment down below. Visit mycorebalance.com to learn more.